fellas, welcome to the garage. Well, we're still in the middle of the Sierra Sapphire restoration here. Check it out. I have welded all the underneath, as you can see, and also painted the underneath. Check it out. All nice, red and shiny, just as good as new. Maybe even better, because I have used stainless steel to repair those rust spots. But anyways, today I'll be tackling a common issue with those cars, which is very typical for Fords of these years, you know? The ones with the sunroof, of course. The problem I'm talking about here is rust underneath of the car, in those places here. And one of the biggest factors is that the sunroof actually has 4 drains. If we take a look here, underneath here, there is a big tray, which collects the water, you know. This screen right now, it sits in there, and that's why we have to have this big tray, you know, so the screen has somewhere to go when we open it, like so. So check it out. If I close it like this, here, now it's closed. And as you can see here, this isn't really watertight. And water, of course, when the rain falls, it goes in between here, and this tray underneath collects it. So where does all this water go then, you ask? Well, this tray has 4 drains, as I mentioned previously. And each of the 4 drains is routed through a pillar. One here, and the same thing on the other side. In the rear end, those drains come out like so. And here, there's no problem. This is hidden behind the bumper, and the water just drains out here. You can see here is this little plastic hose. Of course, here, the same thing. But on the front side, we got an issue, because these hoses are a bit shorter. If we take a look here, where there's no fender, we don't have any holes. Well, I have welded this shut, but originally we do have actually some holes, I think, here. But still, the water is pouring directly into the chassis in this corner. Of course, it's not sitting like so, but inside of the pillar. But yeah, the effect is practically the same. So yeah, we end up with a bunch of water inside here. And of course, the water has trouble getting out, hence helping with the rust development in this part of the car, which then of course spreads to the rest of the car. Now, I do have to say, this windscreen isn't original from the Sierra, but rather from a Ford Mondeo, and I've actually fitted it myself. I've just cut a big hole here in the size of this screen, and then worked my way around, you know, to form these nice edges, you know, and bent these edges inwards. But nonetheless, as far as I know, the Sierras that have sunroof originally fitted have this exact problem. But now we'll try and solve this problem. You know, I have put a lot of hours in this restoration here, and I really don't want the water to be pouring inside the car again. So the solution here will be a very simple one. Simple yet effective. We'll simply make these 2 hoses a bit longer by using these pieces here. These are just some ordinary plastic tubes which fit tightly in these hoses. I will just glue them in like so. And then I will just use this piece of plastic hose, kind of a harder hose, harder to bend, but doesn't really matter because the line will be quite straight. And yeah, check it out. This will go in there like so. I will just put some epoxy glue in there and then stuff this in the original hose. Of course, we won't be dragging these hoses here hanging through the door. The way I imagined it is I will be just drilling holes in here and then fitting those plastic hoses in there to fit snugly. We can see here on the other side, where we have the fender still on, where exactly the hose will protrude out. So this fender will sit like so, and that hose will be protruding out here, just behind this fender. And yeah, as you can see here, we do have some little holes here in the fender as well. So in very unlikely case, some hose will clog up or something, we can actually reach it and unclog it or clean it in a sense. So yeah, I think this will be again very simple but very effective solution. One problem we'll have here on this side with the fender installed is gonna be reaching this hole, you know, to drill in a straight line, but I think we'll be able to just bend this bumper slightly and drill that hole, you know, so I don't have to remove this fender, which is in very good condition, and there's really no point of removing it, you know. I'll be actually able to just paint it all on the inner side and repair this little rust spot here. So yeah, let's get to drilling then. So with a little bit of effort, I've actually managed to put this plastic hose through here, and here I just have to connect the two and glue them together or something. Then I will just cut this to size, just a little bit protruding out, and yeah, that will be actually one drain finished. Now I just have to cut this to length, put that insert in between, and just glue the whole thing together. Alright, so to make this connection as secure as possible, I'm just gonna sand these pieces here a little, and then I'm gonna put a zip tie in the middle of each of those, just to make the job easier, and also make sure that the same length of this goes into each of the plastic hoses we're connecting there. We're essentially making the sticking surface bigger by doing this, and making the glue bond stronger. This one will be a little more challenging. And yeah, just let me get this out of the way. Easy. Alright, so I've been trying to pull this plastic hose from the underside through here, but I couldn't manage to pull it further than to here. See? It's kind of a hard hose and it wants to keep straight, you know? But no biggie, you know, I will just cut another piece here, and I will be actually extending this one. I will extend this one here and here. It will be one more gluing operation, but this is all plastic, so it won't be not even heavier and nothing. We'll just cut another piece here once these two cure and glue this drain together also. Alright, so check this out. We got that drain going all the way from the tray we were talking about here, smoothly through this hole. And then coming out here, see that? The little hose there, that's our drain now. Here I have to paint all of this here inside, all over the hose, I think. And then I have to weld this fender on. But anyways, this will conclude our drain system fabrication. Now I'm pretty much sure this was a big success. Now I'm very sure this was a great success, and I can't wait to test it in the rain to see how much water will be draining out of those drains. But until then, we do have quite some more work to do here with the car. Anyways, if you like this kind of content and want to follow along with the Sierra Sapphire build and also the other project we have here, go ahead, like the video and subscribe to the channel, hit that bell and everything, and I'll see you in the next one. Be good!